Hey, champ.
What's up, my man? How are you? Good morning or good afternoon.
Good to see you once again. Um,
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon from where I am.
Likewise, likewise.
Uh, we were just talking about AJ and Ngannoun, and the fight happened. Uh, so before we get to the main event, I'm not sure if you saw Rey Vargas against Nick Ball. Did you watch that featherweight
You,
fight?
I didn't watch the undercard. I had since the time change and all that was different. But I mean, I just saw the highlights and I read the commentaries about Rey Vargas, how he should have lost possibly. It was it was a loss on him. Unfortunately, I didn't see it. I didn't see the Joyce, or not the Joyce, the guy who beat Joyce, the Parker. I didn't see the Parker one. So
Yeah.
all I did was watch, waiting to watch Ngannou, and it lasted 2 rounds.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you had predicted that AJ was going to win that fight. Uh,
Correct. Correct. I believe that he was going to knock him out, but I thought he was going to knock him out in the later, mid to the late rounds, not this early. And it just comes to show you that boxing, I mean, Joshua is just at another level, and it's not, this guy, Ngannou, is a great athlete, a great fighter, a great puncher, but boxing skill wise, my God, he's not there.
but at the same time, we couldn't count him out because he had just made Fury look bad. So you know,
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I was giving it five to, in between from the fifth to the 10th round. I thought, it would have been just totally Joshua. But to tell you, I mean, that one great right hand and left hook and just landing on him in the first round was, and to seat him, I was surprised. And then that next round where he just put him to sleep, it's just that's when you knew, this guy, he's still in it. He's still game. I do question his chin, but he did take a couple of shots from Ngannou. But I mean, there was from a hurt guy. Although sometimes when you have a guy hurt, he could land that surprise shot, just like Andrew Ruiz. But this time you didn't get that. You got a guy who was hurt, and he took care of it. He finished him.
yeah. Do you think we'll see Ngannou in a boxing ring once again, or do you think that's it for Ngannou?
Well, right now, geez, I mean, I did hear the post interview, the post fight interview, actually when they were down on the ring, down the ring, both with Joshua and Ngannou, and he was just telling them not to quit, keep going. I mean, so it could motivate him to want to step into the ring again. He got a great payday, and so it was his biggest payday ever, and I think he has the name to have those kind of paydays for him, because he is a name fighter because of the MMA, but he's not a boxer, as you could tell. But I think his what he did with Fury will actually keep him up there, because he did put a good fight against Tyson Fury. So if you could face another big name opponent, possibly that Chinese guy who just lost, I mean, it could be that could be a good one. Or with Parker, although Parker is a very technical, he's more of a sound boxer, I think. So I mean, I think Parker would definitely beat Ngannou.
Now that you mentioned Big Bang Shank, Big Bang Shank, I thought he won that fight against Joseph Parker just with those two knockdowns. it was a close fight, but with those two knockdowns, I think Big Bang Shank should have won that fight.
It,
Don't you think?
interesting. I mean, like I said, I didn't watch that fight, but I would have to see. And what I saw from just the clips, I mean, he did drop him, but I didn't think just by dropping some people down, you could get the win. Just like when Pacquiao fought Juan Manuel Marquez that first fight. I was there. I saw that fight live. I thought it was a draw. I mean, I think Marquez did enough to get back to at least win a lot of the rounds on points and all that. I didn't think he won, but I didn't think he lost. I thought it was a draw, and but because of those first two or three knockdowns, I forgot how many knockdowns they were, but if it wasn't for those knockdowns, obviously Pacquiao would have lost. But because of those knockdowns, he got a draw, and that's what I don't know. I didn't see the fight, but it could have gone something like that.
Uh, it's funny you mentioned that fight because the first time I saw that fight between Marquez and Pacquiao, I thought Pacquiao won. But then when I watched it over and over, I had Marquez winning.
Oh, really, really? No, yeah. So I mean, it's different to watch it live and then to watch it on TV, right? And so I watched it live. I thought it was a draw. I said, "Oh, this is a draw," before the announcement. I was like, "This is a draw." I think Juan Manuel did enough to not lose. So it was. I said, "This is a draw," and boom, it was a draw. So I was like calling everybody out. I remember sitting next to this guy Miguel Cotto. We were sitting together to watching the fight, and I think he agreed in that fight with me. I'm not sure because it was such a long time ago, but I do remember though that it was. I was excited that I called it a draw, and it was a draw. Uh, I I did see Pacquiao after the fight and going to the press conference, and he was banged up. He was. But if he wouldn't have dropped Marquez those times that he did, he would have won the fight definitely. I mean, I'm
He
sorry,
would have lost.
he would have lost. He would have
Yeah,
lost. Yeah, correct.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Speaking of Big Bang Shank, he got in my opinion, like I think he got screwed up once again because the first time he lost by decision, uh, a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, he I thought he should have won, and now he suffers a second loss, which I believe he should have won against Joseph Parker. Um, I'm starting to wonder, like, is Big Bang Shank being avoided, just like Luis Ortiz was being avoided uh, by many heavyweights? Uh, because I remember when Wilder was going to fight Luis Ortiz, all the other heavyweights were criticizing, especially Fury was criticizing Walter for fighting Luis Ortiz, saying that Luis Ortiz is an old man. And Big Bang Shank kind of reminds me of Luis Ortiz in that way that he's old. But it doesn't mean just because they're old, they can't fight. They can still fight and they can punch. Let's not forget what George Foreman did to Michael Moore.
Correct. Yeah, especially in the heavyweight division. I mean, I think the last thing you're going to lose is power. And yeah, you called it. Look at George Foreman, and he fought a prime young Michael Moore. Uh, the thing is, yeah, I think he's being avoided, and he will be avoided. I mean, nobody really wants to fight him. I guess if you're fighting in China and they'll put up the money to pay for a fight against him, but other than that, I don't see these. I don't see. Ah, man, it's gonna be hard to see somebody really give him the opportunity to fight for a world title in the near future. I see if anybody is if anybody needs him would probably be Andy Ruiz, because Andy Ruiz right now has been forgotten, and I think if he were to fight a guy like that and make a statement and knock him out or at least win, he'd be back on top.
Yeah. Andy Reese is taking too much time off. He needs to get back in the ring.
And that's probably the boxer's worst nightmare is inactivity, and so he needs to be active because this is a young man's sport, and once you're off for a couple of years and you're not under the lights, it does something to you.
And we saw that with Deontay Wilder in his last fight. He's getting older, and he took some time off, and he didn't look that good.
No, no, exactly. So I think also that there's pressure that does something to you, and so the pressure, the inactivity, it does something to your body where you just don't feel like, my gosh, you put a little doubt in your mind. Possibly, they could say, no, it doesn't, but it just clearly shows that there's something wrong with his the lackluster performance that he had in his last fight.
So I guess we'll never see AJ versus Wilder.
Geez, it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it in the near future. It doesn't. But right now, I think what these guys are doing in Saudi Arabia is actually kind of good. Where they're bringing in the heavyweights to try to make it a big deal. That's like the new Vegas, Saudi Arabia, and so if anybody could do it, those promoters possibly can and buy these guys and pay them very very good money, give them very good paydays for them to actually meet up. But then at the end of the day, it's up to the promoters that they have and they're signed with, because that always has a lot to do with it as well.
What were your thoughts when Eddie Hearn looked at Fury and said, "Please beat Usyk so that we can get Fury against AJ."
I mean, that's just hopeful wishing from a promoter, because obviously it's big paydays for him, and if he gets to get his hands into the mix. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, Usyk and Fury. I think that's a very difficult fight for Fury. Fury, unless he was just trying to sell himself, looking lackluster in his performance against Ngannoun. And that fight's supposed to happen, I believe, in May or June, right?
I can't remember the exact date, but it's coming up.
Yeah, I believe it's possibly May. And yeah, it is coming up. So I don't know. I just feel like Usyk is just very technically sound. He's a very he's got that very Olympic style pedigree type boxing. So could that be a very wild Fury? Because Fury, to me, he's very like sloppy. He's a sloppy fighter, but he gets the job done because of he's got that advantage of being tall, lanky, long arms, uh, and he holds a lot. Then he how those British fighters they hold and hit a lot. So I mean that's an advantage on his part if he's able to do that. But I just think that this guy Usyk, being a southpaw, being a very good technical fighter, I think he's going to give him a lot of problems, and I think Usyk would win by decision.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Usyk was able to beat AJ twice, and
Correct.
and
Correct.
Joshua is bigger than Usyk, so Usyk has no problem fighting a bigger guy. So when I hear some say that Fury's a lot bigger than Usyk, it doesn't matter because Joshua was bigger than Usyk, and Usyk still beat him
You're
twice.
you're absolutely right, exactly. And so I think you get when you have a fighter who's super big like that and lanky, and he's punching down, he's going to leave himself open, and I think that's where Usyk is going to take advantage in counter shots and speed because he's pretty fast. He's pretty quick himself. So he has a little bit of pop, I would think. As a heavyweight, a smaller heavyweight, he has a little bit of pop. So I think he'll be able. I mean, just look what he did to that guy, that other British guy. I forgot his name, Bellows or Bellew. I forgot, but he put him to sleep. So he does have a little bit of power. I would think.
Yeah, and also I just remember that Otto Wallin, being a smaller fighter, he cut up Fury. He made him look really bad in a fight that many of us thought that Otto Wallin beat Fury.
Those are those fights that they're questionable. You don't know if he won or lost, but obviously they don't want him to lose because he's the one that's going to bring in the great paydays for everyone. It's a business.
And let's not forget that Fury, he's a dirty fighter.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you about those British guys. They like to hold and hit, and he does that a lot. And I think he's calmed down a lot because he's fought outside of England a lot and basically fought all over, especially here in the U.S. And they don't really allow that, but sometimes they let it go too much. I mean, he did it with Wilder. He did it a few times in other fights, but he does like slap as well. And I mean, some of those slaps I'm sure are powerful, especially if you're hitting with the palm. But I think I think he is a bit of a dirty fighter. But those are some of the things that a sound fighter has to use to get the win. It's whatever it takes, and he does whatever it takes.
Yeah, actually, I spoke to Russ Amber, who works with Usyk, and he said that they're preparing for Fury's dirty tactics. They're preparing for that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want, but it's going to be how you adjust, to a guy that's using those kind of tactics and not being called for by the ref. So you have to obviously be prepared for a guy like that that's going to do a lot of those bad antics and tactics towards you in the fight, and learn how to deal with it and adjust and try to overcome that and respond in a positive manner.
Now, in regards to Joshua, um, I hear some saying that uh, he beat Ngannoun. Ngannoun is not actually a boxer; he's a MMA fighter. So this win doesn't prove anything. AJ needs to beat Fury. AJ needs to beat Big Bang Shank. AJ needs to beat Usyk in the third fight if they were to fight in a third fight. But beating Ngannoun proves nothing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think okay. Then why didn't you say that when he fought Fury? Fury, and they went to distance. He even got dropped by Ngannou. The thing is, I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Since this guy is not a boxer, you got to get him out, take him out, and that's exactly what he did. First 2 rounds, that's what he did, knocked him out, and knocked him out cold. And it's not just like they stopped the fight, or there was a cut. Or he barely. It was a bad call from the ref. It was a devastating, probably knockout of the year, and so he did exactly what he had to do as a real fighter, and yeah, he beat he beat a guy who's not a boxer. Exactly, and that's what you're supposed to do when you fight a guy who's not a boxer. Knock him out.
Yeah. So with Eddie Hearn saying that AJ is going to be a champion once again, do you think Joshua will become a champion once again?
You know that's not a bad. I I I, I didn't see it, but I, there's a possibility that yeah that he can. I mean he's a guy that has a really good boxing background with the the amateurs and all. He's just a very good athlete. You could just look at his physique, his movement. He's on his toes every now and then. So he does have those qualities for him to come back and overcome his losses and become champion again. I think he does. I would come. I wouldn't count on him out. The thing is, he does have power, and he does have good technique. So I think he does have the possibility. I'm not really a Anthony Joshua fan. I really don't care. I am more of I like Wilder. I do, even though he's wild and all that, dude. He's still bad. I like him. I like the old style American heavyweights like Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe. Anyway, but I think that Anthony Joshua has something, and he could become champion of the world again.
I'm just thinking like if Usyk beats Fury, uh, do you think Eddie Hearn will put Joshua back in the ring with Usyk? Because if he does, I don't think Joshua can beat Usyk. Because I think honestly, I think Usyk has uh, Joshua's number,
Yeah,
just like Holyfield had Mike Tyson's number.
absolutely. I think that fight shouldn't happen. If it does happen, I mean, this guy Usyk is going to win. I just see it that way. I mean, you already saw Joshua at his best 2 times fighting Usyk and lost clearly. And I was a little surprised that he was a little butthurt when he thought he won that last fight. And he was telling him that he won that fight. He was like upset with him after the fight. I thought that was childish, and he just didn't know how to control his emotions. But no, Usyk would. That's the guy that has his number, just like you said. So Usyk would be the main guy, would win.
And since I mentioned Mike Tyson's name, I'm pretty sure you've heard about Mike Tyson's next fight.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to this guy Antonio Tarver's take on it, and he made a good point about how nice and good and special it is to see a guy like Tyson at his age getting in the ring with a young, tough guy who's not a bad puncher, who's not a bad fighter actually, and who's taking boxing serious. I did hear that and listen to it, and I was like, wow, that does make a lot of sense. And so it's good for the sport somewhat to see a guy like Tyson, and good for Tyson, to come back and do something special and spectacular if he because I mean you got a guy who's going to wear a headgear. You know, I don't know. I heard that this guy Logan Paul, or I don't know, Paul, one of the Paul brothers,
Jake Paul. Jake
Jake
Paul.
Paul, is supposed to wear a headgear, and I guess there's a weight clause as well. So I'm not too sure about all those stipulations that are put in the contract and all that. But if there's if they're gonna fight, really, I don't know if it's good for boxing. I don't know. Maybe it's just too much show and too much Hollywood, too much drama that I think it doesn't belong in boxing. But maybe that's what they're trying to do because they're trying to get boxing to become more mainstream. I just kind of like what this guy Ryan Garcia. now I hear, all this him doing all these tactics about like just speaking out of on for the kids and all that, which is good. It's good. I just think that this, I'm not saying this is not a place to do it. He has a big platform for him to speak out about like child abuse and all that. But I I don't know if he's saying that during a time of boxing, of something athletic. Maybe I don't know if it was done in bad taste. I really can't really say, but I don't know if it's good for the boxing fans to want to see you fight, and instead of bringing the political part of it, and start promoting yourself or trying to sell a fight. It just wouldn't look good. That's what people are thinking, is that maybe you're speaking all this because you're trying to sell the fight. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. It leaves a bad taste if that's what you're trying to do. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully it's something that you really want to do for the kids, bring awareness for the kids. But I'm not saying this is bad what he's doing. I'm just saying, I don't know if it's the right moment or the right time to do that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to think about Ryan Garcia at the moment. But going back to Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, um, when Mike Tyson did the exhibition fight against Roy Jones Jr., it looked like Mike Tyson was going all out. He wasn't playing around with Roy Jones. So imagine Mike Tyson does the same thing with Jake Paul. I think Jake
Yeah.
Paul might lose.
Oh, that'd be nice. That would be great. Now, if that were to happen, that would be great for boxing. That would be great for boxing. And then these YouTubers would be like, you know what? We better, calm it down and call out somebody, who's not like Tyson. But that was a couple of years ago against Roy Jones. This guy is now, he's older. He doesn't look like he's and he was in pretty decent shape, it looked like. I just don't think Tyson at what, 57 he'll be during the time of the fight. I don't know if he'll bring that type of ferocity uh, at this age. I mean, I don't know if he's doing it because obviously for money, obviously, but he doesn't want to let his fans down. So yeah, I'm sure he's going to bring his A game at his age and try to knock this white kid out. It would be something spectacular to see, obviously. So I mean, I see why people are going to want to watch that, because they're going to want to dream and hope to see that young Mike Tyson at this age. So I guess it is kind of good,
Since you mentioned Antonio Tarver's name, I remember at one point Antonio Tarver wanted to fight Jake Paul.
See, now I think that would be way like a mismatch. I think Antonio Tarver would really want to knock him out, and I think he could. He's got the size, he's got the power, and I would love to see that, Antonio Tarver and Jake Paul. That would be a hell of a fight. I mean, a hell of a spectacle. Not even a fight.
Yeah, I think that fight would do well, just because there's a lot of Rocky Ball fans that look at Tarver as being Mason the Lion Dixon.
Yeah.
So he
That's
has
funny.
fans from the movie
From the movie.
Rocky Balboa, and he
Yeah,
has fans from the
yeah.
boxing world.
Yeah, that would have been great. Maybe against his brother. Maybe he could fight against his brother on the undercard.
Oh, Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, yeah. That would be good.
Yeah, I think that would sell out.
I don't know. There's this I don't know if you watch Mexican boxing and all that, but there's a Mexican, they always make fun of him. He's like the best Mexican undefeated fighter of all time, but he's a politician from Mexico. And I would like to see that guy get in there with Canelo. His name
No, I don't.
is
I don't recognize.
Kawagi. Kawagi, something like that. They call him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you heard that
Doesn't
guy.
ring.
You
Doesn't
got to
ring a
check him
bell. No.
out, dude. Check him out, dude. Kawagi, something like that. It's Kawagi from Mexico, and he's supposedly the best Mexican fighter ever. But he's a politician, or he was. But that guy's like some kind of millionaire. But you should watch his fights. It's funny.
I'll definitely check him out. Because for some reason, I thought about when you mentioned this guy, I thought about Jorge Paez, but
Yeah,
Jorge Paez is
yeah.
long
No,
retired.
Jorge Paez is a real fighter.
Before I let you go, I guess maybe we can get back on and talk about Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu against Keith Thurman, March 30th. We'll talk about that later on if you want to talk about it. Tim
Definitely,
Tszyu,
man.
yeah, Costa Tszyu's kid there is looking like a real fighter.
Absolutely, and I like his chances. You know, he's going to be fighting a guy who's been inactive for a while. So I mean, he's a great athlete though, Thurman. So I mean, he's going to be on his toes and moving around a lot. But and he does talk a lot. So I do hope that Tim Tszyu does what he's supposed to do and knock this guy out.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. I think it's
Yeah,
going to be a good fight. March
yeah, it should be.
March 30th.
Yeah, that's coming up. It's coming up. I mean, at the end of the month, but it's coming up. It's going to be here in the snap.
Carlos Hernandez, I appreciate you coming back on.
Sure, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah.